YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back with another online battle live. I'm actually using a very similar army to what I used in the last battle. I was hoping to use the Dwarfs tonight, but when my opponent picked the Empire and readied up almost immediately, it tells me that he has a build that he likes here, and that he's pretty confident in, which makes me wonder whether or not it's going to be cheese, because like he joined the battle, flipped to the Empire, and within 5 seconds had readied up. So he either likes to pick his army once he's readied up, or he has a preset army. And my guess is that he has a preset army that he's interested in here. So that's, like I said, that's just a guess on my part, but I think it's a pretty fair guess. I'm trying to find a good place to forward deploy these Wolf Riders where they would be hidden. And there's not really a whole lot of places, because this is all up against the line there. What I want to do, he's already readied up here as well. This guy's in a hurry to get down to business. Put my Savage Orcs in the middle again. And support with my Goblin bosses here. Flanks with big ends. I mean, this is pretty straightforward Greenskin business here. I've got some Spider Riders that are meant to try and poison any flying units that are trying to do hit and runs. And I need my Orc Shaman. Okay, I'm only starting with 7 mana, so I'd kind of like to have some time to build up some mana, so. Okay, there we go. What does he have? See 2 Gunners, Light Wizard, Spearmen, Demigryphs, probably more Demigryphs on the other flank. Very terrible infantry, which is why I brought the Savage Orcs, because they saved me money to pour into anti-large for the flanks. I need to keep my Wolf Riders hidden and then try and get to his handgunners with them. Trying to build up plenty of mana. If I could hit his Demigryph Knights. Yeah, so he's got a lot of Demigryph Knights. They are going to be somewhat difficult to deal with. Not impossible, but somewhat. Okay, I do not have any skirmishers, so I will get forced to attack. But I'm not in a huge hurry. Like I said, I'm going to get my mana all built up. Infantry-wise, I'm in good shape. I need to be able to get through his center and take out the handgunners. The Light Wizard and Karl Franz are going to pose a pretty serious issue here. Gonna back up. Try and pull him forward a little bit. I'm hoping he won't notice my Wolf Riders, but he probably will. My guys are not running back, so let's actually run back. I want to pull him forward just a little bit. I'd like to get his Lord out of the woods. I'd like to do some damage to Franz with the Orc Shaman. What's the overcast in the Gaze of Mort? Problem is it doesn't do any armor piercing damage, be my guess. Gives it extended range, and I'm probably going to have a miscast. I don't know if he's going to spot my Wolf Riders or not. If I spring the Wolf Riders too early, though, it's going to be bad news. Keep my Boar Boys up here. Spider Riders. Let's push up. I'm going to try and push his handgunners back. He's going to shoot his demigriffs towards the center. Try and deal with my handgunners, so I'm going to stay away from him. I'm going to swing the Wolf Rider over here. I did not give it an attack order, so I don't know what that was all about. Let's try and pound the crap out of his spearmen real quick. He's trying to get his demigriffs into my savage orcs. It's actually fine with me. Let's keep my boar boys. They're not at the appropriate distance back here. Yeah, I bungled this. I gotta get my orc shaman away. Let's try and poison these demigriffs. Get into these goblins back here. My opponent's not fully engaged all his troops, so I'm gonna do the same here. Ooh, if I hit that guy, I'm gonna get my own guys a lot. Let's bring some more poison in here. Let's take these guys, push these guys back here. Let's try and pin down Carl with some of my boar boys. My Wolf Riders managed to cause some problems back there. That's fantastic. Infantry's starting to roll. Let's bring the big uns back and let the Savage Orcs chase these guys. Let's let the damaged Savage Orcs chase these guys. We've got Franz pinned down. Let's get after this Light Wizard. Let's keep the Boar Boy big uns back for a moment. I'm gonna try and foot a Gork these demigriffs. I don't know if it'll do a whole lot. Let's swing back around with the... It did some pretty solid damage. Let's try and pin these guys in. We gotta chase those dudes. We managed to pin down Franz here. Okay, got my shaman. I'm gonna have to let my Winds of Magic charge back up. Yeah, that actually worked. We got rid of the Demigriff Knights over here like that. There's some more Demigriff Knights that are back. Let's try and run them down while they're... My opponent's army's definitely falling apart at this point. Let's just pull back towards center here. Swing these Spider Riders over here. Get these Spider Riders back. Where's the Here We Go? Fist of Gork. Phase of Mork. Fist of Gork. Did I get rid of... Oh yeah, Here We Go. Here we go. There's Here We Go. I'm gonna heal my boss here. Got my Spider Riders. Got some big uns. Swing these guys over here. Let's go run down the gunner. Ah, we won. So... Let's go, I think my opponent didn't quite micro his army right there. I don't feel like that should have been that easy for me to win, because I didn't do a fantastic job there, really. But let's go analyze it. So, if we take a look at the replay real quick. Oh, it's the autosave, because I didn't save it. So, here we go. I mean, my army here is meant to counter a crappy infantry line from the Empire, and that's exactly what he brought. And then I've got some tools for dealing with skirmishers, which are kind of the bane of Savage Orcs. He brings anti-armor with the handgunners, which is fine. Handgunners aren't a bad unit, but Savage Orcs don't have any armor. So if I had Black Orcs, I think the handgunners would be appropriate. And a lot of Greenskin players do like to use Black Orcs. Now keep this in mind, had I used Black Orcs, a single Black Orc costs the same as 2 Savage Orcs. And when it comes to killing spears, the Savage Orc does the job much more nicely. It's faster, it's cheaper, it doesn't have a lot of staying power, but it does the damage. And then the biggins, of course, are really good in supporting against Empire cavalry. And just personally, and this is just me, when I bring cavalry in larger numbers, I always miss micro it. I can barely micro one unit of cavalry, right? And that's kind of why I bring so much anti-large. So I've got, this is a pretty typical greenskin army for me if I'm facing the Empire. Doesn't mean I'm going to use it every time. And then the big Wa to me is pretty helpful. I didn't use it, well, I used quite a bit of my Winds of Magic all in one go with the Overcast Foot of Gork that stomped out most of a Demigryph Knight, which that's why I bring the big Wa. You get the Foot of Gork to help against cavalry if needed. You get the magic missiles, which can be useful against enemy wizards, and you're going to get the Here We Go, which is extremely useful for infantry fights where you need a buff. And again, if Here We Go gets cast on like a Wolf Rider or a Spider Rider, they will absolutely wreck enemy skirmishers. So if you just want my honest opinion on my opponent's army here, the infantry line is awful. It's terrible awful. And that's understandable, right? The infantry in Bretonnia do that sometimes. And so he's sacrificed to bring all these Demigryph Knights, and the Demigryph Knights are really quite good. They're very good against infantry mainly, and they're still going to be pretty good in a cavalry engagement against what the orcs have to offer, or the Greenskins. The problem is when you bring 4 of these guys, it starts to limit some of the depth that your Empire army can use. And you can see here his Light Wizard is not up on a Pegasus where it's a little bit safer. He's brought Karl Franz, which I don't disagree with this choice. Franz is quite a good pick against the Greenskins, in my opinion, since they can't really Lord Snipe the same with Lore of Death, Azag anymore. Franz is a great pick. He's great for rear charges. He can get to Doom Divers. He can help swing cavalry fights. The challenge with this guy is that he gets pinned down on the ground, he's in bad shape. If he goes after like shamans and stuff like that, and he does so in a relatively safe manner, he's downright deadly. Let's watch what happens though. So you can see the opening moves here were pretty intentional. I'm going to try and use my Spider Riders, and I don't know if these guys have line of sight. They might. Or say my Spider Rider. I'm going to use my Big Boss to tank some of the damage because they have a healing potion. So I want my Big Boss to come forward and push back the handgunners. And he's pretty quick, and he's going to do that. And this in turn brings his Demigryphs in towards the center. And then I've got my infantry rush going on. The only orc skirmishing unit I like really is the Doom Diver, to be honest. Some people don't think I use my magic enough, and in my last battle I didn't. In this one I didn't use a lot, but I used probably like 26 mana or something like that when I dropped the Overcast Foot of Gork. And to me it was kind of worth it. I ended up stomping out like a 1400 gold unit. Yeah, my Savage Orcs just get absolutely blown to smithereens by his handgunners, like almost half their life gone. But half the life on a Savage Orc is plenty to deal with an Empire Spearman, who's just going to get absolutely slaughtered by a Black Orc. He's bringing his Light Wizard in, and then he's keeping Karl Franz back in reserve. Now this was a dangerous scenario, and I'm lucky that I noticed it. Bringing in my Big Boss to ward off these guys, and my Spider Riders while keeping my Shaman alive before he gets killed without doing anything. This is very important for you, and the poison's going to slow the Demigryph down, so it's not going to do a lot. I was thinking he was going to bring Karl over here after my Shaman, but instead he was charging after my boss, and he missed him on the charge, which was pretty fortunate for me. So yeah, now I've got my goblins in here who are poisoning the Demigryphs, which should have a pretty substantial impact on their ability to fight. I'm going to bring in more spiders so that that keeps happening. And let's see. Yeah, it looks like that I caught this one Demigryph Knight over here, just got overwhelmed, so it got wrapped up in biggins. And the problem with spears is that they're not great on defense, and they're really not very good on offense either. This is where his Demigryph Knights get lined up, and they're fairly bunched up here. They're not a very big unit, and these guys weren't really well spread out. So a Foot of Gork is actually going to have a pretty significant impact on them. We'll try and take a look. So they're at 3,700, 3,500, roughly 3,500 health. Yeah, they took a pretty significant stomping there. That took at least 1,500 or close to 1,500 health off of them while not doing a ton of damage to my own biggins. So I felt like that was well worth it, because then it allows my my boar biggins to come in here and easily mop them up. So that ends up being a pretty good use of my magic, in my opinion, because when you consider the threats that were on the battlefield, the Demigryph Knights were a significant one, and to basically snuff out half of their unit there was well worth it. Having to deal with 3 or 4 of those guys in the late game. Now, again, the mistake that Franz made is he came down to attack my lord. The Orc War Boss has a healing potion, so unless you have a plan to kill him quickly or to break his leadership, you're going to be in trouble. And Karl Franz gets bogged down here on the ground, and I can use my boar biggins to keep him bogged down. And here you can see he routes, and you can chase him with the boar biggins. And if you have spider riders, it's even better, because they'll poison him and he'll almost never get away. So this is a great way to get rid of Karl Franz, is you let him get to the ground and then you pin him with spider riders and boar biggins. You can see he's actually kind of outrunning my boar biggins. As long as they can kind of keep poking him in the butt, they'll keep him there. Broke the Demigryphs over here, and at that point that was the breaking of the rest of the Empire. So I think when it comes down to it, in my opinion, I mean, it's possible. I mean, my opponent probably could have microed his army a little bit better, but then again, so could I. Mine wasn't perfect. I think in the end, my army is just more balanced here. He's poured a huge amount of funds, 5,600 gold, into the Demigryph Knights, whose sole purpose is to destroy infantry, but they got bogged down in all kinds of fights that they didn't want to be in. Now, had these Demigryph Knights just straight charged in to the center of my Savage Orc line, now that could have been a different story, because they could have made a single charge, killed most of my Savage Orcs, and then retreated, and then their spearmen would have been in much better shape at that point. The handgunners could have stayed back to fire, so I think he definitely had some ways to get after me. Look, no kills on the Spider Riders, but these guys are kind of throwaway units. Same thing was with Wolf Riders. These guys got 26 handgunner kills, which is totally worth it in this case. The Savage Orcs, you can see, they're really good against the spearmen. They're just really good against them. And then the Goblin Big Bosses, these guys are hit point sponges with poison. That's what I use them for. Now, they don't have a ton of hit points. They're not particularly strong units, but they encourage crappier nearby units like Savage Orcs, and even biggins. The Greenskins are notorious for bad leadership, and the War Boss is kind of risky. It's actually pretty easy to break his leadership, but the healing potion is going to give him basically what I just did there, which is I let his health get pretty low, and then healed it late in the game so that he got it back. Now, the risk there is that this guy doesn't dish near as much damage as, say, like a Grimgore. And then, of course, Azag has, like a actual magic himself. But since I had brought the Orc Shaman, there was no reason to double up on Shamans. Anyway, what do you all think? I know it was pretty much the same army, a couple nights in a row. I wanted to play a battle again tonight. A couple of the battles I had weren't all that great. I didn't have any replays at this moment that I was ready to show. If you all want to keep sending me replays, you can always send those to airtotalwar@gmail.com. I'm really looking for great team battles in Warhammer, especially if you're setting up like some kind of scenario battles, and I'd like to do some of those with you all. I'm just looking for some free time to do it. But yeah, if you have any good scenario battles, like team battles from Warhammer, shoot them my way, or just any battles. I'm going to keep doing the testing videos. Tell me what else you'd like to see in Warhammer. Hope you enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage signing out.